My name is Canopy Hydrangea. I recover cursed artifacts, explore haunted places, and report back the information needed to the people I work for. The company then arranges what is to be done to remove these blemishes from the world. If it isn't possible, we make sure the evil of cursed artifacts and bizarre places doesn't make its way to the general public. But sometimes, it's important to leak a report or two to the unsuspecting public. Makes for a good warning, and this particular file is one of many that must be known. "Do you have clearance?" asked a young man, wearing a hat with a carefully embroidered 7 obscuring his face. He held out a little notepad with tables for signatures labelled sign-ins and security. "We can't have anyone here without proper clearance." I sighed and took the pen that was attached to the pad. "Of course I have clearance," I said. "I'm the one supposed to be in charge of this damn operation." He looked at me in confusion. So did I. I was told by the company's board members this specific location was assigned to me, and yet my team was clearly not the first ones here. This wasn't what we were promised. Not by a long stretch. I was told Valaruz was in charge. He pointed over to a bulkier man in camouflage gear, direct to agents of the company around the dig site. Valaruz. Of course he was here. He was always getting in people's business. "Am I being subjected to the internal security probe?" I looked him in the eye. "Right now? Right here?" The meek young man hesitated and backed away. "See, your previous assignment against the House of Loreno has some of us in the company," he chose his words carefully, "doubting your status. This was no issue. I just wanted control of the dig site back in my hands. After all, I was the one sent to study it. And my team." "No problem. So, let's talk about the dig site. The mass grave that, as I was told by my historian Kieran, contained the corpses of over 200 skeletons, and counting." 254, he mused, counting again. "And some aren't human." I asked him about it, and then I saw the bones for myself. They, at first, looked like the bones of children, but on closer inspection, found them all to be distinctly serrated. Their skulls were a bit too flat and wide to truly be human, and what was more bizarre were the limbs. Each non-human remain had 8 limbs, all that seemed like the legs and feet of ordinary human bodies. Obviously inhuman, and the way they were connected told me this wasn't some sort of post-mortem ritual that positioned the bodies like so after death. No, this was the real deal. Dozens of dead, non-human entities that perplexed and sent chills up my spine. And the skulls. The damn skulls were like they were smiling, of all things, and instead of 2 eye sockets, there were 4. I also noted the sharp pines of wood that impaled the skeletons. What's with that? Even before asking, the aura of something powerful emanated from the bones. My assistant, Rainey, had an answer. "We suspect they may not be fully dead," she informed. "We're doing our best not to, dislodge the wood until we can get a priest to put them to rest." I knelt down near one of the many impaled creatures and observed it. Distinct markings were present. I took off a glove and touched it, feeling the history within it. Sparks of violence, war, famine, an ember of something entirely dark I could not place. It unnerved me. "How long until we can put them at rest?" "Well, we haven't figured out what religion this place aligns to," she pointed out. This was true. If we invited the wrong priest to bless this place, it could invoke the opposite of peaceful rest. "And you haven't even seen the staircase." "The what?" "The mass grave was discovered by an oil company looking to drill new ground. When the reports of the unusual remains came in, a report was handed over to me and my team, and we were sent to eliminate the disturbance, remove all evidence of the bizarre, and hand it back over to the oilmen. The bodies were found in concentric trenches, squares. There were about 5, each within another, and a 6th being uncovered by the dig team. In the centre of the squares was a small ruin, a large jutting cylinder with a door. Beyond this door was a spiral staircase of stone, seemingly cut in by the ancient builders of the gravesite so many centuries ago. Valaruz, the internal security inspector, awaited me there. "Canopy?" he greeted, extending a hand. He peered into the staircase. holding out strong, twisted rope. "We've got 4 assets, who will be out just about." A man, panicked, rope attached to his waist, scrambled out, hyperventilating. He was in standard prison garb. As usual, we often use death row prisoners to explore new, dangerous territory. He started to ramble about a shape in the darkness, and something about pages in a book. "Sir," asked a woman, placing the man under handcuffs. "What should we do with him?" "Remove him," Valerie's ordered. She looked at us both, puzzled. Kill him?" Valerie shook his head. "Don't be silly. We need to know what he saw down there, extract his memories, then have the handlers do what they please." Yuck. Memory extraction was something I hated to see. A needle laced with symbols and science, injected into the centre of an eye. It would then extract memories to be read by a rather interesting looking book. The prisoner would then develop amnesia for a while, but that was no issue. The prisoners we worked with for these excursions were often terrible, irredeemable people. Valerus and his team informed me of what they had discovered, just as 3 company agents entered the depths, ropes tied along their waists. The staircase was seemingly endless, according to 2 other excursion teams they had sent into the depths. The first team had only been equipped by a radio and led by an agent of the company, but after an hour, dropped from radio contact. After another hour, they should have returned, yet they had vanished into the depths. A rescue operation was made. Equipped with rope, Valerus sent in a team of prisoners led by a more experienced agent. Oddly enough, the initial agent leader stumbled back out, informing us that the passage had shifted, and they had ran across a labyrinth underneath the entire dig site, some sort of temple. Video footage revealed the place was a hellhole. There were signs of life, but twisted, impossible things, strange fungal matter, and the bones of long-dead creatures, and something else, still active. This active entity, according to the survivor, seemed to work in tandem with the stairway, dislodging stairs, sending one prisoner falling into the abyss. Another was seemingly sucked into the walls of the place. The last simply faded, and that was when the agents started to evacuate. The rescue team came back, fully intact. They hadn't encountered any such temple, merely more of the same. Staircases, illuminated by the light, to be made of bone. Subsequent testing informed us the bones were human. "Okay, As soon as I was about to say I wanted to enter the staircase, the line snapped. "Whoa!" Valerus held on, and 2 agents joined him. "It's being pulled." He turned to me. I retreated to a machine the rope was connected to, and selected a button labelled retract. This should. It started to pull against whatever was on the other end, but it was straining. Work. The machine started to creak, and the bulky thing began to move against itself. "Security!" Valerus ordered. "Get the hell over here, now!" That's when the line loosened and pulled back, and blood came flying from the abyss. 2 bodies. No. A torso and a set of legs. Rope still attached flew out, nearly splattering us all with blood. A man came running out, splattered in the blood of his friends. "There's something down there!" He said it with such fear, I started wondering what lurked in the shadows. It was like those bones!" A growl emerged from deep within. My assistant, Rainey, came up to me. "Sir, should we seal it up?" She gestured to security, already prepared to request explosives. I thought about this for a moment. "Not yet, no," I decided. "We don't know if sealing it up will work. Whatever was inside, it was powerful. So I decided we needed a proper operation into the temple, with actual agents. "Rainey," I began, "have the rest of the team meet me here. We're going in." Reckless, maybe. But if what was inside was a threat to humanity, it needed to be neutralized, captured, and sealed away. "By the way," she started, "we've identified the ruin." My eyes lit up. "Can we get a priest? The sooner we could remove the undead bones from the site, the safer I'd feel." "Already have one," she hesitated. But... She sighed and pointed to the outskirts, where a rather fancy motorcycle had arrived. "It's Quincy Kieni." Quincy Kieni was a rather eccentric figure in the cursed artifact black market. He was both an asset, working for us, telling us the details of when a major deal would go down, and the enemy. His faith to Myuu, the Salamander King, made him have the so-called prophecies over when to help us and when to suddenly disappear off the grid. I made a noise somewhere between a grunt and a sigh of annoyance. Of course it's him. I watched the man with black-tinted glasses and fiery red hair waltz about the gravesite, raising his hands up and dancing. Within the hour, my team was ready. I, Canopy Hydrangea, would lead them in, coordinate our actions. My expertise in physically sensing the bizarre would come in handy, if it need be, and the few spells I'd learned. Then there was Rainey, my assistant, who had reviewed the tapes and studied all too many places similar to this. Of course, there was Kieran, my main security guy, and today we would be joined by the rather annoying Quincy. There were others, but I didn't want to lead a large team. So we entered the depths. Valaruz attached a rope to us, connecting it to the large bulky machine in case something attempted to pull us in. And then we were set, and so we began the journey into the depths of the pit. "Canopy, we meet again!" Quincy cheered. "I didn't know you were in the business of exploring new and exciting places." "And I thought you'd finally gotten yourself killed for good," I chided, "after the whole Stekkai incident." He laughed maniacally at that, and the noise reverberated around the walls. "Were you demoted as a result of... who are they?" he thought. "Loreno's team." "None of your business," Kieran cut in. He held up a hand. "I hear something." We all silenced ourselves, even the bothersome Quincy. There was a dull growl in the background, and the clicking of insects. No... "Automata," Rainey identified. "Temples of the Salamander have automaton. Machines given life through ancient magic. Not a huge problem." The next hour was rather boring, and we continued in silence, fearing disturbing one of the more dangerous security automata. Sure, machines weren't as dangerous as any live creatures, but still a threat nonetheless. "Hold it!" Quincy shouted. We all stopped. He stepped ahead and knelt down, inspecting the step in front of me. He spoke something I couldn't understand, and symbols appeared, and we heard the clicking of gears. It's a classic pitfall trap. I remembered Valaruz's prisoners, the story about the place working against them. "Who," Rainey posited, "built this place?" "It's a temple of the Salamander," I reminded. "But those bones up there don't match anything we have on record." Quincy ordered another stop and chanted, and a wall beside us faded away, revealing a hallway. "Now that's a temple." I noted the images and statues, and I think I know who built this place. Satyrs. The statues were satyrs, half-man, half-goat creatures spotted throughout mythology and ancient times. We knew them, like many other of the ancient kinds, to be extinct, long dead. But the statues of the satyrs here seemed different, more human than beast somehow. They lined the hall, facing away from us, bowing to a large statue of a salamander, an eternal flame still burning within its mouth. "Look," Kieran commanded, raising his gun. A machine, moving as if it were alive, appeared in the distance. "It looks just like those bones." No, it was made from the bones that had been dug up, and the 8-limbed thing came charging at us. Kieran fired, to no effect, before Quincy stepped out and clapped, uttering a single word. The machinery grinded to a halt and collapsed. I was right. It had been made from the bones of the things above, strapped to gears and circuitry. Whatever those things were, the worshippers below had clearly venerated them, enough to create Frankenstein-like beasts in their fashion. "Well, that was not as cool as I thought it'd be," Kieran shrugged. "And," Rainey added, gesturing to the statue, "looks like that's the sort of artifact we'll want to secure." In the mouth of the salamander statue was the flame, and as I studied it, I realised it was a book that was burning. Quincy put the flames out and handed the warm pages to me. This was powerful, all right. I reached into the other and felt that it contained great animosity, malevolence, something insane. "Now," Quincy murmured, "I don't want to alarm you, but..." The walls started to creak, and they began to slowly move downwards, threatening to crush us. We were at risk of immediate death. We ran out of the temple and back on the stairs, which were now starting to shake and crumble. Quincy quick-costed some spell, and we ran, tugging on the rope. Valaroos, despite my opinions towards him, was skilled, effective, and he activated the machine, pulling us in, just as the steps collapsed. The rope hung in mid-air, slowly drifting upwards. By the end of the hour, we were out. I gave Valaroos the details. The moss grave had completely been excavated, and all the skeletons sent to the facility deep within the clutches of the company. More research would be done by a secondary team, but the immediate danger was neutralized. The automata, traps, and all had been disabled by Quincy, and the temple, according to a scan, had largely collapsed. But there was something underneath it, a second temple that mirrored the concentric squares of the graves, ready to be excavated and revealed. And according to an initial scan, there were life signs inside. That, I assume, was where the real treasures were hiding. But that isn't my business. The initial first contact was made, and fears within stabilized. My job there was done. Another day was complete. The unexplained was eliminated, and I was ready to move on to another excursion. The world is filled with places like these, and I'm just one of many who work to keep these things hidden away. We keep the public safe. It's what we do.